Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are breaking down the psychological thriller, Borderline. The movie opens with a man named Paul marrying his beloved girlfriend, Sophia. Everything feels dreamlike and beautiful as Paul takes us back through a flashback to show where it all began. We learn the story is set in the 1990s where Sophia is a famous singer, and Paul is her obsessed #1 fan. One evening, he arrives at Sophia's mansion, dressed elegantly and clutching a rose. Her bodyguard, Belle, appears frustrated. This isn't the first time Paul has pulled something like this. Delusional, Paul insists Sophia is his girlfriend, but Belle orders him to leave and threatens to call the police. Hearing this, Paul apologizes and starts to leave, prompting Belle to head back inside. But moments later, the doorbell rings again. When Belle opens it, he's stunned to see Paul standing there with a knife pressed to his own throat, threatening to end his life. Belle tries to defuse the situation, but Paul, slipping deeper into madness, mistakes him for Sophia. He pulls out an imaginary ring and proposes to the bewildered bodyguard. With no choice, Belle plays along and accepts. Overjoyed, Paul rambles about wedding plans and moves to hug him, but in a sudden, violent turn. After stabbing Belle, Paul leaves him bleeding and excitedly enters the mansion. Sophia isn't home, but Paul doesn't care. He roams her studio, plays her piano, and lounges in her bathtub, having the time of his life. Meanwhile, Belle lies outside in critical condition until he loses consciousness, distant police sirens wailing through the night. The scene jumps ahead 6 months. Sophia relaxes at her mansion with Rhodes, a famous basketball player, and her casual fling. Her assistant, Kayla, calls to inform her that Belle, now recovered, has returned to resume his role as her bodyguard. Sophia rushes to hug him, revealing their close bond. Elsewhere, a burly man named JH listens as Paul's voice, giddy with excitement, instructs him to retrieve a parcel and prepare for their next move. Paul thanks JH for being part of the great journey he and Sophia are about to embark on. That evening, Sophia and Rhodes visit a lively pub, dancing without a care. Meanwhile, Belle learns from the news that Paul has escaped a mental facility alongside another patient, Penny. Panicked, he leaves his daughter, Abby, with his aunt Eleanor and races to Sophia's mansion. Paul, now reunited with JH, introduces Penny as his assistant, a woman just as unhinged as he is. Meanwhile, Sophia returns home at Belle's urgent request, only to find cops swarming her mansion. Belle breaks the news: Paul escaped hours ago. The deranged trio drives through the night, Penny curiously noting JH's strange eye. Paul explains it's from a parasitic infection. They stop at an elderly man's house, where Penny feigns car trouble to lure him outside, her smile turning sinister as the scene cuts away. Back at Eleanor's home, she spots JH lurking outside and calls Belle in terror. He urges her to contact the police and tells Rhodes to lock down the mansion before rushing to his family. A bumbling officer arrives but dismisses Eleanor's fears, insisting he must leave for a musical audition tomorrow. She refuses to let him go, forcing him to stand guard. At the mansion, a security guard notices a suspicious trunk on CCTV. When he investigates, the power cuts out, plunging the estate into darkness. Sophia lights candles while Rhodes searches for the circuit panel, unknowingly walking into danger. In the monitor room, the guard is ambushed by Penny, who strangles him before bludgeoning him with a microwave. Sophia, now alone, locks every door, unaware of the figure silently watching her. When Rhodes restores the power, Paul materializes behind Sophia, embracing her and apologizing for his long absence. She shoves him away, hurling kitchen objects at him as Rhodes, trapped on the other side of a door, hears the struggle. Paul slams Sophia into the glass, knocking her unconscious as Rhodes watches helplessly. Belle arrives home but finds no sign of the officer. He orders his family to pack for the police station, unaware that JH has already strangled the man with his own bicycle chain. As Belle loads his family into the car, JH ambushes them at gunpoint, forcing them to drive to Sophia's mansion. Sophia wakes locked in her recording booth with Paul giddily planning their wedding. She tries reasoning with him, revealing his trauma. Paul's girlfriend died at one of Sophia's concerts, fracturing his mind. But he refuses to listen, shutting her down. Meanwhile, Belle pleads with JH to spare his family, but the enraged henchman stops the car, executes Belle on the roadside, and forces Eleanor to keep driving. Back at the mansion, Paul introduces Sophia to Penny, who critiques her looks before being sent to fetch makeup. Seizing the chance, Sophia ambushes Penny with a guitar, only to realize too late she's struck Rhodes. In the living room, Paul excitedly tells Abby she'll be the flower girl. When she hears noises from a trunk, he lets her open it, revealing the kidnapped priest from earlier. Sophia revives Rhodes, who whispers he saw a child in the house. Before she can react, Paul arrives, mistaking Rhodes for Sophia and kissing him passionately. Meanwhile, Sophia finds Abby and learns Belle is missing. A flashback reveals JH wasn't sure Belle was dead, confirmed when Kayla finds him wounded but alive the next morning. Belle commandeers her car and speeds to the mansion, discovering the wedding invitation. Paul has taken everyone to a church. There, Sophia is coerced into the ceremony, but Paul, lost in delusion, mistakes her for a guest. Abby scatters imaginary petals before Rhodes, now in a wedding dress, is walked down the aisle by Belle, who slips Sophia a knife. The priest declares Paul and Rhodes husband and wife, and Paul kisses him, mirroring the film's opening fantasy. But reality crashes in when Paul stabs Rhodes, triggering chaos. Belle attacks Paul as JH holds Abby at gunpoint, until Rhodes, bleeding, slashes JH's throat. In Paul's mind, he and Sophia walk away happily married. But in reality, authorities swarm the church. Sophia asks Rhodes if they could try dating. He jokes, "I'm a married man now." Belle tells Abby he's quitting bodyguard work, realizing the danger it brings. The final scene shows Paul in a police car, hallucinating it's a limo. He babbles about honeymoon plans until the illusion shatters, and he collapses into sobs.